Hi, my name is Jake Cohen, I'm 27 years old, and I'm from Long Island, New York. I consider myself an expert in the history of the NFL, and I really like learning about quarterbacks and the history of quarterbacks and what was good when and whatnot. So as part of my first YouTube video talking about football that I want to make for this channel, I wanted to talk about quarterback classes and kind of just ranking quarterbacks in those classes and whatnot. So I asked my fantasy football chat, what's a random year that I should review for my first video? And 2001 was chosen. I know I have a lot of Bills stuff around. They are my favorite football team, but you'll notice my Atlanta Falcons t-shirt. Because guess who the first overall pick of 2001 was? Michael Vick. I want to keep my face brief so we can just get to talking about quarterbacks. So this is the 2001 quarterback draft. All stats shown in this video are brought to you by Pro Football Reference. We're just going to start at the top and then list all the quarterbacks going down. Obviously, like I said before, Michael Vick was the first overall pick of this draft and the first quarterback off the board. The second round definitely had some names, with obviously Drew Brees being the big highlight here, but there was also Quincy Carter and Marcus Tuiakoposo. When we look through the rest of the names, you can see Heisman winner Chris Wenke out of Florida, Sage Rosenfels, Jesse Palmer, Mike McMahon, AJ Feely, Josh Booty, and Josh Heupel, who is actually currently the coach of Tennessee. So let's start with the people you've definitely never heard of, Josh Booty and Josh Heupel. Both had pretty lackluster college careers. They were late round picks. They never played a snap in the NFL. Josh Booty has actually played more baseball than football, so take that for what you will. And like I said, Josh Heupel is currently the coach at Tennessee. Now that we got the nobodies out of the way, we're going to talk about the 5 quarterbacks drafted between the 4th and 5th round. Let's start with AJ Feely. AJ Feely actually has a fun little career because he was kind of looked at as almost an heir apparent to Donovan McNabb, who was drafted 2 years prior. In 2002, he had a productive stretch of games, which led to the Miami Dolphins giving a second-round pick for AJ. Obviously, after that 2002 season, he had no sustained success and kind of bounced around the league as a backup after that, but he was always viewed very, very fondly by Philly fans. Needless to say, AJ joins a long list of meager white quarterbacks who for some reason people thought would be the next Joe Montana. Alright, let's talk about Mad Dog Mike McMahon now. While Mike might be a name you know if you're a longtime NFL fan, he was nothing more than a pedestrian backup quarterback. His lifetime completion percentage of 44.5 has to be one of the worst out of anyone who's attempted at least 500 passes. That means up next we could talk about Jesse Palmer. Fun. So until I started researching for this video, I actually had no idea that Jesse Palmer was Canadian. He is actually only the second Canadian quarterback to start in NFL history after Mark Rypien. As you can see, he did not have a lot of success in the NFL, but he was on The Bachelor, and he was also the first non-American to be on The Bachelor. So, there's something. Congratulations, Jesse. You're incredibly forgettable, but you're apparently really handsome. I don't think so, though. Red-faced frickin' Canadian loony. Alright, let's talk about Sage Rosenfels. Sage was a decent spot starter. Most of his success happened with the Houston Texans when they were going through a pretty rough time in franchise history right before Matt Schwab. You may notice his 30-29 touchdown to interception ratio. Hey, it's positive. And he did have a 4-1 season, again, with the Houston Texans. But let me tell you the most important thing about Sage Rosenfels. Much like myself, he is in fact Jewish. And I love that. What PFR won't show you is that Sage also played for the Minnesota Vikings for a number of seasons towards the end of his career. So shout out Sage, you Jewish king. Cool, now I get to talk about Chris Wenke. That's quite a trip. So you might notice how it says that he was 29 during his first year, because that's how old he was when he was drafted. Chris Wenke originally wanted to play baseball, didn't work out for him, so then he went to Florida State and won a Heisman. I know, that is insane. As you can tell from his stats in the NFL, he did not work out, with that rookie year being most of his playing time. Now, why I think he's interesting outside the fact that he was drafted at the age of 29 is that he was so bad his rookie year, the Carolina Panthers would have gotten the first overall pick the next year for 2002, but they didn't because there was an expansion team known as the Texans. That means the Texans got the first pick, and they picked David Carr, leaving Julius Peppers all for Carolina. He's probably out there like, you're welcome for me getting Julius Peppers. My other favorite thing about the 2001 Panthers has to be how they had legendary coach George Seifert under the helm? I don't know, whatever. But he was the coach of the Panthers at the time, and because he went 1-15 on the season, it basically eliminated him from being discussed in the Hall of Fame. Argue with me in the comments about this, please. Now we get to talk about Washington quarterback Marcus Tuiakoposo. Cool name. So as we can see, Marcus did not play that much in the NFL, having only 2 career passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Rough time. Definitely not a productive quarterback in the NFL, but who cares? The thing that Tuiakoposo is probably most famous for now is being the offensive coordinator for Rice, and he's got a famous family member if you'd like to learn, besides his dad. I'm pretty sure Marquise's cousin is Ronaya Tuiakoposo, the person who was catfishing Monte Teo. Don't quote me on that, though. Alright, there's not much else to say about Marcus, so let's move on to the next guy. We got Quincy Carter up next. Cool Quincy. So obviously the screen's a little busy because I also wanted to showcase Quincy's running ability, which, while it's not great, is a lot more than any of the other people below him. Quincy was always a really interesting quarterback to me because it was very evident if you watched him play that he had a lot of talent. He just had a lot of off-field problems and he had a penchant for throwing picks. That 2003 season is not something to scoff at, though. He did go 10-6 that year with decent passing numbers, if not a little too many interceptions. He also showed some dual threat ability that year with 68 rushes for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And if I'm not mistaken, which I very rarely am, that is Bill Parcells' last playoff appearance as a coach. If there's any guy mentioned so far that I think would be a lot better now, it's gotta be Quincy Carter. Alright, cool. We all knew this was coming. This was Drew Brees, the guy drafted after Michael Vick. Oh my god, I wonder what Drew Brees has done his entire career, blah 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 blah. If you're not a football fan and you don't know who Drew Brees is, he's like the greatest passer ever. If you are a football fan and you really need me to take time out of my day to explain to you about Drew Brees' impressive statistical profile, along with being one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, don't call yourself a football fan, like, I'm sorry. He's the only guy mentioned so far who took his team to and won the Super Bowl, and he's second all-time in passing yards. Obviously, he's going to be the best quarterback on this list. We're not even going to debate it. It's really not worth discussing. So let's move on to our last guy, and then we're going to break it all down. This is the one, the only, the electric Michael Vick. Michael Vick is more well-known in the public for less than great things. On the field, there was very few things Michael Vick couldn't do. Between the rocket launcher attached to his left shoulder and the absolute jets he would put on to take out cornerbacks and even try to out-muscle linebackers. There will never be another player in the NFL that has the type of cuts that Michael Vick had. A lot of this culminated in 2006 when he became the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for over 1,000 yards. That has only been done by 2 other players, Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson. I don't think a single play does a better job of illustrating the thing that Michael Vick did best like this. Watch as he just cuts. Obviously he was considered down, but the way that he made the defender juke out of his shoes is something I've never seen another quarterback able to do. Obviously the elephant in the room is that Michael Vick was arrested in 2007 for bankrolling a dogfighting ring. Once Vick was released from prison, he began his redemption arc as a backup quarterback in 2009 for the Eagles before becoming the full-time starter in 2010, leading the Eagles to a 10-6 season. As you can see on the chart, in 2010, Vick had his most proficient passing season, just breaking 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, but is also supplemented by almost 700 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. Alright, cool, that's every quarterback from 2001. Now we're going to take some time and rank them. So, no surprise here. Obviously, I'm just going to put the 2 Joshes as number 10 on this list. They basically are the same person, and neither did a single thing in the NFL. So, after that, I got to give it to Marcus Tuiakoposo. Guy basically did absolutely nothing in the NFL. After that, it's got to be Jesse Palmer, who did slightly more than nothing in the NFL. Good job, Jesse. Next up is Mike McMahon. He probably fits right here because the other guys actually had more significant starting time. Chris Winkie right after that. Chris basically did nothing in the NFL, but he did start over 16 games, so obviously I have to put him ahead of everyone else below him. I'm going to put A.J. Feely up next. I just feel like if I had to pick between him and Sage Rosenfels, I'm probably going to go with Sage. Again, going with Sage here because I feel like his 2007 season was more productive than any season that A.J. Feely ever had. So I am going to take him over A.J. here. Unlike every single other quarterback listed below him, Quincy Carter did lead his team to a playoff berth. So, yeah, he takes that spot. Number 2, it's Mike Vick. Come on, guy. Like, who do you think I am? Obviously, I know he's the second best quarterback in this draft. He's way miles and miles above everyone else below him. That being said, the guy who is above him has just such a gargantuan lead that it's not even funny. Oh man, is Drew Brees the best quarterback from the 2001 draft? Can't imagine why. It's probably because he has 60,000 more passing yards over the next closest person. Great career, Drew. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, you're the best one here. It was really never in doubt that you were going to be the best quarterback in this draft. But I think it's worth discussing all the other guys. I'm sure none of you have really heard of Mike McMahon or Jesse Palmer, so worth discussing. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate any comments. If you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. If you want to like the video, I'd appreciate it even more. But if you want to comment what year you want me to do next, that would be the coolest, because then I could probably do that year and talk about it. So thank you very much, and have a great day.